Are you tired of the rainbows and butterflies approach in multifamily investing, where everything unfolds seamlessly and everybody wins? You never see behind-the-scenes reality. If you resonate with our perspective, acknowledging that true insights emerge from navigating mistakes and challenges, then you're in the right place. Join Christy Keeton, your host, as she dives into the missteps and lessons learned encountered by active apartment operators. In these episodes, we embark on a journey to dissect and analyze the pitfalls within the multifamily project lifecycle, focusing on the crucial stages of finding, funding, fixing, or flipping a project. Instead of glossing over setbacks, we shine a spotlight on them, providing a valuable learning experience for our audience. Each episode concludes not only by revealing how the issue at hand was rectified, but also by sharing other priceless lessons derived from the experience. It's an unfiltered exploration of the multifamily investment landscape, revealing the intricate tapestry of challenges and solutions that make the journey worthwhile.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Multifamily Missteps. And today I'm super excited about having Miss Julie Peterson on with Old Capital. I have been watching her journey for I don't know how long, and I'm just excited that she's going to be able to add value in an area that we normally don't talk about. So stay tuned. And Julie, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for asking me to add a little bit of character and content.
Yes, I love that. I love it. I love your character. Your character is amazing. And like I said, I've been following you for a while. And I believe that we've had some conversations through Quattro Capital here and there. And so I'm just super excited about our conversation today. So the first thing I want to talk about is you are an operator. You operate as well. So how did you get started in the multifamily space? How long have you been doing it? And just fill us in a little bit about who Julie is.
Yes. So I started in the banking industry when I was 14. And I thought this is going to be I worked for a bank. And I really thought I really love money and I really want to pursue this. I also loved real estate. I knew all of the properties on the street in my neighborhood, what was for sale, and ended up buying my first property when I was 22 years old in Los Angeles, $250,000 property. And the riots came and looted, and I lost my business that I was there. I was in the bicycle industry, and it was a great time because there was another opening. I was a sales rep for a bike company, and I could move up to Northern California. So I gave my house to a friend of mine for $4,000. And I said, you make the payments, never be late. And he did. So I like to think that not all real estate is a gain. I have a company called Dancing Investments because it's really what investments do. They go up and down. And I had been in many, many, many transactions, making, doubling my money, losing money. Right now it's a tough time. But I got into multifamily after lenders kept saying, go away, go away. You can't do this on your own. You need a team. And I thought I had the cape on. Like Edna Mode says, no capes, but I was wearing the cape. And I really had to sit down with other operators and say, how do you do this? Because I want to do this by myself. And it wasn't until, if you talk about missteps, I really stayed in this up to a 20-unit building by myself, but I couldn't get any further. So I had to learn and educate myself on how to get partners, making the right decisions on who those partners were. And it wasn't until I sold all of my assets, went into multifamily as a limited partner. My husband said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not your boy. I'm not your maintenance guy. My kids had been left at each of our properties to say, oh, we're only going to be there for 20 minutes. And it was 3 hours later. So the whole family was like, we're done here. So one of the things that, if you talk again about missteps, because I'd seen my operating statement on a daily basis that I owned and operated my own assets. And then I got into limited partnerships and I was seeing the operating statement only quarterly. I was going through the roof. I couldn't stand it. So I knew that I had to get back in as an operator. And, I am a lender, owner, operator, capital raiser. I do it all. But I needed to make sure that I had my hands on the information as a limited partner on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So if we've got passive investors here listening, make sure that your deployment of capital is and how you are going to be communicated is aligned with whoever you're investing with.
Yes,
Super,
that's
super
important.
important.
That's very important.
Yeah. And so when I became a general partner, that was real important to me that we were operating on a monthly basis, communicating on a monthly basis with our investors. So that's kind of where I came from, where I sit. I'm a little different because I'm in the shoes of operators. I'm on the lending side for my buyers.
Yes.
So I just bring a little bit different to each of the transactions.
Which is awesome because you don't get both sides like that very often. And somebody with that type of knowledge and expertise can bring a lot to the industry. So, number one, thank you and kudos to you for being on both sides of it. Tell us a little bit about maybe the first couple of deals that you did with a syndicator that maybe there was a misstep or two that you weren't quite sure what happened during the process. Do you have a story that you can tell us a little bit about that?
So as a limited partner, or would that be as the
Either
mortgage
one.
broker? Oh,
Either
okay.
one.
I think if we talk about what is happening in today's world,
Yeah.
a lot of people got into this. They were sitting on the sidelines during COVID.
Mhm.
They jumped in saying, "Hey, I can do this." There's so much capital on the sidelines. They jumped into these bridge loans.
Mm.
And interest rates went from 3, deals were being at 3, now they're at 9.5.
Mhm.
Didn't put a rate cap on that. We saw and we're seeing a lot of distress on those deals. So
Yeah.
that's current. That's a misstep by not putting a rate cap on a deal. When I talk about a rate cap,
Yeah.
we call it like an insurance policy. Just like when you have a car insurance, there's a deductible. So this rate cap is a quite kind of a deductible. You, as the operator, have to cover 1% over the mortgage, 2%, depending on what that strike percentage is.
Yeah.
These operators that didn't do it, they are now responsible for that entire interest rate or
Mm.
deductible, if you will. So not a misstep because done on purpose, but when people
Right.
got into these deals early, they weren't really requiring these rate caps.
Yep.
So in today's market, they are required. A lot of people are not doing bridge lending, the adjustable rate bridge lending.
Yep.
I would tell you the operators that got into it in 2020, they got into this thinking, hey, I've seen all of my friends get rich and famous over the last 10 years. I can do this. And what has happened on these deals, 22, 23, 24, is the capital raising has been a real concern. It's a challenge.
Oh, it is.
So
It
I would
absolutely is.
say the misstep here is that people do not go out and survey their investors and
Mhm.
say, hey, if I had a deal today for you and I was bringing you a return of 4 to 6%, I know a lot of people are saying 7 to 10.
Yep.
But if you're looking at Class A, which, has taken a beating over the last couple years with all of the new properties on board, it's 4 to 6%.
Yep.
If you are not asking your investors and you get into a deal and you think this capital raising is going to be easy, I will tell you that has been the biggest challenge. We've gotten deals over the last year where, thank goodness, the buy or the sellers are saying, I'll hang in there with you. I'll hang
Yeah.
in there with you.
Yeah.
But after a year, they say, can you not raise the 2 million because
Right.
I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
So that's been, I think, if you think about what one of the current challenges is this capital raising issue.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And the small mom and pop syndicators and operators like ourselves, we seem to be losing to the larger institutions because of capital raising. A lot of these bigger institutions have the money sitting in a fund somewhere, or they have access to the international money, if you want to call it that, where the ones that are international, they're like the foreign money can sustain a 3% or a 4%, where the ones here in America, they're like, yeah, we want 7, 8, 10%. I actually talked to an investor the other day that said he's getting 12%. I was like, how are you getting 12% on your, and I don't understand this. I'm not able to do that on the deals that I'm doing on multifamily deals anyway. On single family,
Sure.
maybe, but on multifamily deals, you're not seeing that. We're seeing at the top 6% at this
Yeah.
point. But yeah, these larger institutions are able to beat us out. And it's just like, come
Yeah.
on, we want some of the pie. But yeah. So what are the
Yeah. Just to talk about that, these new people, they got educated. Many of them got educated, and the
Mhm.
education programs were saying, jump in, get 100 units, get 200 units.
Yeah.
And when the money was flowing from the debt side and from the capital raising side,
Yep.
that was great.
Agreed.
But, and people were staying into these deals 18 months, they were
Yep.
turning them quickly, right? So the investors were they were excited about continuing with that general partner. Now, not only are
Yeah.
we seeing the big guys taking it, but we're also seeing that, hey, maybe the smaller deals are not so bad.
Come on. Now you're preaching.
Right? Right? The
Yeah.
40 unit buildings. The big
Yep.
struggle with that is finding the right property manager and you got to be close to these assets.
Yeah.
Back in 22, or even 20, when we're using bridge lending, a lot of people wanted to go with agency, but the leverage wasn't there.
Yeah.
The people that were taking on the agency deals that made sense, they are returning capital. Maybe they projected 20%. Now they're at 12. I can get a hold of
Yeah.
that. But in today's market, there's a lot of economic vacancy that we're not getting the proceeds that we're used to seeing on agency.
Yeah.
People are underwriting these deals at 70, 80%, which, and a perfect time frame, that would be great. But
Yeah.
the NOI does not support 75 to 80 on a lot of these deals. So getting the right basis and underwriting the deals, you really have to be cautionary right now.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned economic vacancy. Can you elaborate a little bit more on economic vacancy? Because yes, we do hear that term quite a bit, and as we should know what that means. But if you can elaborate what all is involved in the economic vacancy, and as a lender, when you're looking at the economic vacancy, what are you looking for to say, yes, I can lend on that? No, I can't lend on that.
Yeah. And the lenders are scrutinizing everything right
Yes,
now,
they are.
just to the 10th degree. So
Hmm.
historically, we would just take the numbers. We would look at your vacancy rate, your loss to lease, your bad debt, right?
Okay.
And concessions. So all of those now are looked at as, okay, well, what is the vacancy? Is that just recently, like today, I did an underwriting and there is a employee. So is that considered bad debt, or is that considered part of your economic vacancy? You're giving that away.
Yeah.
So they are looking at every little item
Mhm.
and they're scrutinizing it. If, let's say, I'm trying to think of examples here, but you've got concessions that are greater over the last, let's say, T3. Now we have to go to T1, and that's where we get our underwriting is on T1.
Yeah.
And so you're getting less proceeds. We're hoping that it gets better, but we
Yeah.
can't really dictate because we have to look at where's the worst case scenario and go from proceeds there.
Definitely.
So we have seen people saying that people live there and they're looking at market rates when they're looking at the rent rolls, and really no one's living there. So you really can't say that's market rate. There's just a lot that goes into these underwriting these deals right now
Yeah.
that are giving us challenges. The other thing that we're seeing is when you're looking at your revenue side on the other income, is it, oh, everybody's late, so
Yeah.
we'll get late fees? Is that going to be an ongoing thing that we can think about? Are there application fees? Is that going to be an
Yeah.
ongoing? So we're trying to normalize those as well, which is really also giving us less proceeds.
Yeah, definitely. And that other income, just that it gets me on some of these things because you'll have $10,000 in late fees over the year and you're like, okay. So I look at, as an underwriting expert, I will look at the other income and I will literally scrutinize every little cent that's in the other income. I'm not going to put the late fees in there because you really
Yeah.
can't count on those late fees being there. Because if you actually have good neighborly tenants in there, they're not going to be late. So I'm not going to count on that extra 10 grand every year for that. So as a lender, do you scrutinize those other incomes to the nth degree?
Yes, I would say in the past we have not to the degree that we are doing it today.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're scrutinizing not only the deal, but we are scrutinizing the general partnership. Historically,
Ooh.
you would give a personal financial statement and schedule of real estate. Now, the agencies are saying, okay, I want to see the operating agreement for all of these. I want to see your name on it. I want to
Wow.
understand your position here. And I want to make sure that you are the percentage that you say you are.
Wow.
And we
Okay.
also want to see the money, the liquidity that you say is there. Because on Freddie, they're requiring on the small balance is 1 million to 6 or 7.5
Okay.
million. We're going to want to see 5% coming from the sponsor who is signing, the sponsor or sponsors.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So you need to show, hey, I have this money
Hmm.
here available. I'm going to use that as the down payment, not just liquidity, but we also need to see it coming in the down payment.
Wow. Yeah. So that's a big turn because I know there was a lot of sponsors that came in with balance sheets that were not putting any money in just a few years ago. So they would
Yeah.
come in and they would sponsor and they would get on the GP side, they would get a portion of the deal, but they were not putting any cash in whatsoever. And now you're
Well,
required cash
On the Freddie side,
on the
yes,
Freddie
Fannie is
side.
still, yep.
Fannie
But
still
Freddie,
accepts
Fannie,
the sponsor with the balance sheet and all that. Okay. Okay.
yeah, but Fannie's also going to look at, okay, I'm going to look into the operations of this asset. How are they performing?
Right.
Just recently, this year, I would tell you that agency is looking at that current seller and they're saying, I don't like that seller. I'm not going to give you 75.
Mm,
I don't trust their numbers. I'm
okay.
pulling back.
Oh wow. Wow.
So that's how the buyers control. And now I'm being penalized for
Yeah.
that. So that's
Yeah.
one thing. But as the buyer, they're also digging into the assets that they currently own on Fannie and saying, this is a good buyer or borrower, and we will support them on the next deal that you've brought us. Or
Awesome.
they're
Okay.
saying, you know what? You're not doing anything here. Your
Yeah.
property is in default or it's not in good standings. We call that a checklist on the Fannie side, and we need to get that resolved. There
Wow.
was a time, Christy, that people were signing on loans, and there's still probably people that do this, and they just go away. They don't keep their eyes on it. And so the new phase, and Freddie and Fannie are saying, we're not playing that game anymore. We are going to vet not only the deal, but also the operator. And if you're signing on this loan, you are responsible.
Wow.
How many times
Wow.
have we gotten a phone call to the borrower and the borrower says, oh, I haven't been by. I haven't seen the asset in a month, 2 months, 3 months. That from Fannie, that's a default. You
Yeah.
just don't want that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in this environment, we have to be more vigilant in what we're doing. And especially as sponsors, balance sheets, things like that. If you can sign on the paper and walk away, but you're still risking. You're still
Yeah.
risking your own balance sheet, your own reputation. And a lot of
Yeah.
times, especially right now in I would say the last year or so, I've seen so many foreclosures and you don't know what's going on if it was the sponsor that got harmed in the midst of that. But definitely be more vigilant on what we're doing in that arena as well. So,
Mm.
what is some of the biggest challenges? I'm going to go on the lender side. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face as a lender with some of the syndicators, operators that you see come across your desk that are some of the biggest challenges for you
Yeah.
or for them?
So I think, again, there's people that jumped in just over the last 12 months,
Okay.
and there's a lot of challenges for them. They don't have the requirements is net worth, liquidity, and
Hmm.
experience. These are the three guidelines that will allow you to get the very best lending is
That's good.
agency, Fannie and Freddie.
Hmm.
So people say, I want to be an operator. Great. They start underwriting deals. They've gotten educated. They're underwriting deals. They're putting in LOIs. Okay. So the two failures I see here is you are not prepared, you don't have net worth yourself, and you're out underwriting these deals, putting in LOIs. You get an accepted LOI and you do not have any sponsor, net worth, liquidity experience.
Yeah.
So I could run through those because I think it's really valuable. So if you've got people that are listening, on the Fannie and Freddie side, you need to have net worth equal to or greater than the loan amount.
That's good.
So look, that is your assets. That's your assets minus your liabilities. That's net worth. You can use your personal property in that. So you want to make sure. I always say start with when you become a syndicator or you want to underwrite these deals, start with a personal financial statement and schedule of real estate. Because if you don't know how much you're worth and you're going out and looking for a $10 million deal, which is not that hard, you need to find that person that is, in this case, $10 million.
Yes.
I'm bringing 7. You need net worth of 7. If you're only worth $1 million, you need to find somebody who's worth 6 million. So that's first
Yes.
thing, net worth. Second is liquidity. That's cash in the bank. You need to be able to show that.
Yes.
And that's not the capital you're going to put in for the down payment. So cash in the bank is 10% of that loan amount. So if we, again, talk about a $10 million deal, $7 million loan, I need 700,000 in the bank that you're not
Wow.
going to touch until post-close. You can
Wow.
go buy a Lamborghini after you close, but I need to show it's sitting in the bank.
Yes.
Okay. And then the last one is experience. If you're brand new, you don't have experience. So understanding you need to find somebody. Net worth, liquidity, experience is 2 years with one asset. Or if you're on the single family side, that just opened up in January 23. If you have 10 doors, that's 5 duplexes, a combination of quads, right?
Yeah.
If you have 10 doors held for 2 years, you can be qualified as a sponsor. Now, you'd have to have the net worth and liquidity, but you can check that box for the experience.
That's awesome.
So those are the things that I think are missteps on the people getting into this community, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's some of the biggest challenges is as a new person coming in, some of these education programs will say, oh, well, we'll sponsor this deal if it's this, or bring a deal to us and we can do this, or, but they don't, what we didn't understand is, yeah, we're going to have the liquidity. We're going to have the net worth. We don't see that. And when just a few years ago, they weren't really requiring the ones that brought the deal to the table to have all of that. But at the same time, that's not a risk for us, and the lenders don't like us to be on the deal without risking something. So that's where that's really good, and I appreciate because I do have a lot of new operators and new syndicators that do listen to the show. So I appreciate, and I'm sure that they appreciate that value that you just added as well with those 3 things that need to happen. Just make sure that you have those 3 things, guys. If you have those 3 things in order, then a lender will be more than happy to talk to you about how you can get your deal closed, right? So thank you, Julie. We appreciate that. So tell me a few things about what inspires you in this industry, what inspires you as a lender, what inspires you in general.
So as an operator, I love what inspires me the most is I make the change on the asset. I do the CapEx. I make it a beautiful place to live. And I love seeing how somebody moves in and makes it their home. That is like the most special thing for me. Yes, even if it's not renovated, it's not as exciting, but I know for me, the renovated units, just the before and after just are so thrilling to me. So as an operator, I love that. As a lender, what am I inspired by is helping these new folks find the people for their team. Find the person that I can bring into the deal that can provide the net worth, the liquidity experience. To
Love
be
it.
able to make their dream come true is, I just feel so helpful and useful and competent.
Julie, you're amazing.
So,
You're an amazing human being. And you just spoke to my heart there because I am the same way. To know that I can give a safe environment to people at an affordable price, right? Just that's where my heart's at.
mm,
It is obviously about the return as well, but my number one is to make sure that the people that are living on my properties are safe and secure and they enjoy living there. And you giving a hand up to the new operators in this arena just speaks to my heart. I love that. I also had people that gave me a hand up whenever I
mhm,
first started. So
yeah.
so that is very dear and near to my heart. So we
Hmm.
appreciate you so much. And Julie,
Yeah.
I do ask a couple of questions at the end here. I like to actually uplift another person or another podcast host. So tell me, what podcasts besides mine, what podcast would you recommend that somebody listen to?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. If you were talking about lending or you're talking about nobody's trying to sell you on anything, I'm going to just tell you the Old Capital podcast
Amen, sister. Yes,
it is amazing.
it is.
I'm super excited to be part of that in terms of being associated with it, but
Yep,
Paul and Michael and James and all of us contribute to it, and it is great. It
it
is
is.
really valuable information
Yes.
for operators that are senior and new operators and passives, just to understand what it takes and what's happening, and it's just great. I
I
love it.
love it. I listen to Old Capital, and yes, it brings extreme value no matter what level that you're on. You will get golden nuggets out of it no matter what you do. So, what author do you or what book do you recommend that somebody read to further their journey?
Ah,
Whether it's a multifamily journey or whether it's just a life journey in general, what book would you recommend that they read?
well, not and at all what I do on my daily day, my during the day, but I'm all about health. And
Yeah.
as we're getting older women, we are trying
Yes.
to help each other, right? And so I've been very involved with a book called Fast Like a Girl.
Okay.
And I absolutely love it. Her name is Dr. Mindy Pels. And
Yeah.
women are specific. We have hormones and we're aging, and we need to understand how we need to eat for our body styles and what we're trying to accomplish on the health side. So I spend a lot of time researching that, and this book has been incredible for me on a personal basis.
That's awesome. I appreciate that book. I will be getting that book as soon as possible. So, yeah. Well, Julie, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on here. You add so much value, and I see you, and maybe you don't see yourself as this, but I do. I see you as one of the leading ladies in this industry, and I appreciate your journey. And thank you so much for coming on and adding value to our listeners.
You are welcome. One last thing I would like to share
Come on.
is when we talk about helping others, it is something that is deep in my heart of helping others. And so about 5 years ago, I put together the platform called Zoom at 8.
Yes.
And it's every Tuesday night. And we have live conversations, get into the room. There's no charge. With We speak with industry experts on all levels. Last night we talked about buying distressed or old hotels.
Wow.
So it runs the gamut on multifamily to other asset classes to services, apps, all
Yes.
different things that can be of help to somebody who's looking to be a passive or an active operator. So would love to invite you or any of your people here listening. You can join us. The link is dancinginvestments.com, www.dancinginvestments.com. So
That was
come
my
join
next
us.
thing. Yeah, that was my next thing. How do they get in touch with you? And I completely forgot. I mean, and you've got it on your
Yeah.
like Zoom it eight, Zoom it eight. Yes, gotta say it, gotta say it, gotta say it. I've joined a few times and it is very
Mhm.
valuable. And it's not just come in and listen to us all talk. It's very valuable. It is. So thank you for throwing that
Yeah,
out there.
and we break out in networking rooms, and
Yep.
you can find your next partner. We put together quite a few
Come
deals there,
on.
so it's
There
been
you
great.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
So tell us more about how to get in touch with you. Zoom at 8, obviously,
Yep.
dancing and
Dancinginvestments.com
.com.
because I love
Okay.
to dance. But
Yes.
remember, our investments dance. They go
Yes,
up
they
and
do.
down.
They
So
do.
I love that. So you can reach me, Julie. You can look me up on socials, Julie
Yep.
Anne, Anne Peterson at Old Capital. Look it up on our website, Old Capital Lending.
Yep.
And you can send me an email, jpeterson at oldcapitallending.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Julie, it's been a pleasure to have you here, and I look
Appreciate it.
forward to seeing you again, and hopefully we won't have many missteps next time, maybe.
There you
So,
go. I look forward to
all right.
visiting.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Multifamily Missteps. Your dedication to our podcast is truly appreciated. Please help us spread the word and make our community even stronger. The valuable lessons that our guests bring each episode will help you and others avoid these missteps along your journey. Hit the subscribe button, take a screenshot of the episode you just listened to, post it on your social media, and tag myself and my friend Jerome Myers. You never know, you might find yourself our next featured guest. I cannot wait to continue this journey with you. Until next week, stay tuned and stay inspired.